Right. Oh, I'm riding these levels. It's tricky. It's tricky. All respect to sound men. It's tricky. Right. Thank you very much, Azra. Thank you, Maddie. You can have a break now.
Right, grand, thank you.
And it's now time just to switch around, and we're going to invite Kate to introduce Jack McNeill. So would you like to take that microphone? Will be fine.
Thank you. This is Jack. This is Jack, everybody. Would you prefer to sit down?
Is it okay if I sit?
We'll sit down then. You need to be on this middle chair.
Oh.
Okay, I'm told. There we are. Yeah.
In the world of theatre, that's a very dangerous proposition.
Is Jack's microphone working?
No.
No.
Might be now.
So, I'm just going to move away a bit. This is a little bit too.
I should have sat on the other chair, Kate.
No, I was told.
All right.
We have to sit in the middle. Okay. So Jack McNeill is musician, musical director, composer. Anything else?
I'm a dad.
Dad. Yeah, because your partner had a baby really early on in the whole Catalyst time frame, and the little boy's name is
Oscar.
And every time I speak to Jack, Oscar is there in the background contributing with beepy things, and
He's pretty vocal, yeah. And he likes making noise.
How old is he now?
He turned 1 at the end of August.
Okay.
And I have a daughter, Agnes, who's 4.
Yeah. So 2 babies that have joined the Catalyst crew in the course of the last year or so, which is just lovely. And, you know, we've tried to just embrace that and flex with it and roll with it. So, first of all, Jack, what has Catalyst allowed you to do?
Yes, this is a big question.
Yes.
It's allowed me to do a lot. I think one of the most important things it gave me was a sense of time to embed myself more in the creative world of Cumbria, of where I was living and bringing up a family. And I've done that in several ways, but the ways in which I've chosen to do that has also changed as the focus of the project has changed. And so for me, it's been about the actions I've done through the Catalyst Award, contributing to a future here, rather than the product of a project, which has been quite an unusual way, I think, to be allowed to approach an award. I've made lots of things along the way, and I'm continuing to make lots of things, but that sort of became very much entwined in my life, in my everyday, in my community. So a couple of the very first things I did, though, with the award were that I commissioned 3 other artists to collaborate with me. So I commissioned a artisan woodworker to help me create a pair of sound tables.
And you're going to play on those.
I'm going to play on them a bit later. I'll play it in a minute,
yeah.
And people can have a little go over lunch if they like. But the idea behind those was that I wanted a medium to be able to talk about composition and sound design with people. Everyone all right? Yeah. And communities that maybe don't have that experience. So I've used them in all sorts of different settings. I've used them to create the sound design for the work I've made through Catalyst, but I've also used them with SEND artists. I've used them with people going through homelessness and recovering from drug abuse. I've used them with very small children. They've got longer legs so that people who can't bend down can play them as well. And so I made a tool first for some of the things I wanted to do. And then I commissioned a composer, Kerry Andrew, and Ted Carefoot, a local woodworker, made the tables with me. And Kerry Andrew, a composer, I commissioned Kerry to to create an icebreaker piece because I wanted to work with community choirs and natural voice choirs. And so I've taken that piece around various workshops and communities and used it as a way of breaking the ice and also introducing people to the story of air songs, which is the piece that I'm making through Catalyst. And finally, I commissioned a local filmmaker, Lawrence Campbell, to very artfully help me come up with a sort of a tone and a language visually to talk about the work. And today is the first time that I'm going to publicly share the trailer for the work. And then you're all now also in the piece, which I'll explain about a bit later. But the fact that I'm going to be telling you about the piece means that, it's too late to escape.
It's not. The doors are open if anybody can't cope with that pressure.
So those are some of the things it allowed me to do. But
Great.
Yeah, I could go on for a long time, but that's some specifics.
Well, we're talking a little bit later about what how you're going to present your work. Do you want to show us how this sound table works?
Yeah, I can do.
What's it made of? I can see it's made of wood, but specifically?
It's made of olive ash, local olive ash from the Witherslack estate. And it was designed to look a bit like the intertidal zone out in the bay. And the other table looks a bit more, come down and have a look in the break if you like. And the other table looks a bit more, well, I suppose perhaps like stepped sand, but also like contours. And I was trying to sort of bake in the idea of place to the way I was making sound and thinking about it.
Okay.
I'll give you a few examples. Basically, it's got a contact mic attached to it. I'll mic it up in various different ways for different things, different workshops. It's listening though. So a lot of the work I do is about soundscape ecology, which is where you amplify very quiet sounds. So if you do come and play it, you don't need to play it loud. The idea is that when you listen to a field recording, you're listening to an amplified space. And I suppose a lot of my work is about amplifying the connections in different spaces. They might be gendered spaces, because soundscape ecology is not just about the natural environment. There might be spaces that are about different types of inequality, but it's about amplifying those sounds. So these are very quiet sounds made larger.
That's amazing. I think that's beautiful. Who knew that something that looks like that, which it looks beautiful, but could produce such incredible sounds? So we get to have a fiddle play, do we?
But gently.
Yeah.
Can I just interrupt? Just for people at the back, just describe what you were doing there, Jack.
So I was moving some driftwood that I found up at Rowan Head. I was moving pebbles, a giant hagstone. I was moving a rubber ball attached to a barbecue stick, which in the professional percussion world is called a super bowl. But you can make them yourself at home, and I did. and there's a sort of like a kind of fake fence, which you can bow, and it's like sort of playing the landscape. And so in workshops, I treat it like a map. So you can talk to people about composition in terms of like, I'm going to take this object from here to here, and this is what's going to happen to it.
So please do come and have a look. Once we've finished speaking towards lunchtime. I think it's beautiful, and I love that you created that early on in the process, and I also love that you gave your money to other people. You commissioned it, and I really respect and admire that. So let's talk a little bit now about the challenges, because this is not by any means the only thing that you do in your working and sort of daily life. What have you found the challenges of this whole residency to be?
Yeah, again, a really difficult question actually to answer quickly, but I think the main learning that I've had is that if you're going to be here and you want to be an artist, it doesn't the pace of that doesn't separate itself from the pace of the space. And a lot of people, I think, choose to be here for multifarious reasons, and that I've had to sort of change the rhythm of my work and think about how to not expect kind of things to happen really quickly. I mean, somebody said to me really early on, they might even be in this room, I think, I was having a moan about gatekeepers. And they said that very, very wisely, that it's all very well talking about the gatekeepers, but there's nothing in the field. And I think that has become truer over the last couple of years as well. So I think kind of the challenges are the challenges that everyone in this room faces, that everyone in here is creative and has to find a way to sort of satisfy and feed that creativity while also sort of living in this kind of micro culture and the macro culture. And I suppose the ways in which I've decided to approach that are about, rather than going cap in hand to places to sort of say, will you help? Can I do this thing there in this space? It's about actually making things happen from scratch, about sort of grassroots. So I've been speaking to directly to people who sort of run choirs or just enjoy singing. I've been setting up woodwind for the curious, which is a day. I'm a woodwind player, a day for kind of any kind of amateur woodwind players to come and sort of explore that. I've been creating my own concert series in Cumbria called The Almanac, which is going to be a seasonal thing. But I think something that I really want to do in the future is to sort of work out how to tap into this idea of sort of cultural tourism, which I think at the moment is really under tapped as a really valuable source, and I don't think it's supported. The idea of that is, that there are countless places around the county that could be activated for 6 months of the year and then left alone because the community maybe doesn't need them at that time. But also there are countless jobs that could be created for this week, 6 months of the year, 2 weeks. And I think it's moving to that sort of more responsive model of arts creation and distribution that will be the way all of us can grow and be satisfied and be recognized for all the amazing things that go on.
That makes a lot of sense. The notion that you have to create your own opportunities here is, that's kind of why Cumbria Arts and Culture Network exists, because there was a need, so we did it, and here we are. It's not easy, is it? And you're also all over the country and way beyond, aren't you? As a musician, other musicians here will no doubt know what it's like to be here, there, and everywhere. What other things are you doing around the country?
Well, I mean, I play for several orchestras and chamber ensembles and contribute to lots of recording projects. I work with the National Youth Orchestra. But I think all of that is really valuable for what I have to offer here. I mean, a major challenge of this project for me was that, something that it gave me was an opportunity to get my 12-piece band back in the same room for a week. Here in Cumbria.
Propeller,
that's Propeller, who I think, 12-piece band from all over the country and abroad. And we worked in a way that we haven't worked for 7 years. We came to Cumbria, we stayed in this beautiful old place, and we made the music here for the project, and that felt very important.
Can you tell us a little bit more about Propeller, because they are really unique, aren't they?
Yeah, so it's a mix of artists from lots of different backgrounds. That's the band. So it's strings and double percussion and other electronics with brass and electric guitar and myself. But a lot of members of the band are also writers, composers, projection artists, and we have various connections with dancers and other sort of arts forms. And it's always been set up as a sort of conduit for collaboration between the arts. And so our first work that we made, Loom, that toured around, purposefully left space to collaborate with individual artists in the different locations that we went to. And then Air Songs has felt like the first time since then, post-COVID and all that kind of thing, that I've been able to make really meaningful impact in the local community. I mean, the project, for instance, also allowed me to fully fund a workshop, aerial festival in Ambleside. And we're talking, I mean, fully fund, so it probably cost me about £4,000 to bring, a sort of world-class sound gear to Ambleside, an amazing sound technician, 3 members of the band, a local soprano, to encourage lots of people to come. And yet, the publicity and the PR in Cumbria and sort of the ways that the audience networks speak to each other still meant that it was massively under-attended. And that was the sort of tipping point for me, where I realized, okay, that's not sustainable. But what can I do, sort of? And that kind of grew the almanac, this idea that kind of, well, I can bring contemporary music and high quality sort of work, and I can tour it around the county, and I can do it in a way that washes its face. And from that way I can sort of try and connect a lot of siloed, amazing things that are happening. And so Air Songs is the idea behind it is that it's the context for a mass cultural gathering. So it's a digital drama set in the future that becomes the present once you as the audience engage with it. And it's a violin concerto with Dave from the band, but the final movement of the violin concerto is a 45-minute live natural voice choir, completely unrehearsed, sort of kind of revolution in sort of sound and community singing, that's part of the narrative, which is all about climate inequality across the world, and how that's only gonna get greater as time goes on.
So let's talk about when that might be going to take shape, because I know it's not you're not there yet, but when is that likely to happen, and how can people be part of it?
I've got 2 sign-up sheets. If you're interested in being part of it, or you're a part of a choir that might be interested in it, put your name down, put your contact down. If you run a festival, or you know someone that does, or you think you know somebody that might be interested in presenting the work, please leave your details as well. What I want is to present this work everywhere that can in Cumbria.
So it's not just once that
it's not just once. I want it to happen everywhere that it can happen in Cumbria through 26 and 27. It sits before the main stage even kicks off. It's in that space that's all about kind of well-being and community practice and art, but it's also like high-tech, high-quality sort of audio drama live performance.
So you're looking for festivals?
I am.
And you're looking for choirs?
Yeah, because I want the festivals around Cumbria to come up with micro commissions to present the work, because together I can present the work live.
Right. So please do talk to Jack if you're any of those things. A festival.
And maybe now's a good time to show you the trailer.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Let's come on, sound guy. No pressure.
Do you want to come?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Thank you. We're not finished. No, we're not. I think it's really evocative and beautiful, and I can't wait to be part of where it goes next. Thank you for that. We're not quite done yet. I just want to talk more generally before we finish, but about this. From your point of view, as a new dad, what are the sort of pros and cons of being a freelance creative?
Well, I was writing music for this project for Air Songs, and Oscar was about to be born, and we'd had a lot of sadness in our family, and we'd moved house and thrown everything into quite an amazing but quite challenging situation. And I was genuinely thinking I might have to stop playing the clarinet, and I was sort of making my peace with that. And so I made this solo album, Chamber CACN, that became the basis for the violin concerto. And I think, and I haven't had to stop playing the clarinet, but what I have had to do is like pivot. And I'm really grateful to organizations like Full of Noises, for instance, who's really close to here, who I reckon are like the only sort of sound and new music organization really like firing in the northwest of England. I mean, you're very lucky to have it like right on your doorstep. And so they supported that project. They also supported the Catalyst project, and they've continued to support me. And it's by finding those sort of common spaces and changing the pace at which I expect to be able to do things. I realized I had like a pre-kids job spec, or like, and so I've been working hard to sort of work out what that looks like post kids.
So getting good at pivoting.
Yeah, pivoting, and being like, I think quite a lot of people are. Well, I get the impression that there's a lot of sort of people are sort of understandably protective of their practices, but this is quite hot. This mic, Tom.
It's a bit boomy.
And I guess I one of the things that I've realized I'm going to do is I'm setting up a production company with Propeller at its heart, with this 12-piece ensemble with these mixed skills, to be able to be responsive to other artists locally in the region, and to support kind of younger artists and older artists to kind of work on large-scale projects, and then a sort of smaller, more supple set of things kind of locally. So I'm building a team at the moment to help me do that. And
you will be part of the To Be It project as we go forwards as well, with a view to making sure that you're making it easier for young people to follow in your footsteps, if possible.
Yeah, I think it's quite hard to come back. Like, I think it's really useful to go away. If you've grown up in Cumbria, it's really useful to go away. And it's quite hard to come back and kind of see how, because it's so siloed, to see how you're going to necessarily fit. You know, there's a lot of like dead man's shoes jobs going around Cumbria. And I think having more responsive organizations that can muster around moments will be part of the answer.
Okay, well, we can pick up a bit more of that later, but I'm just going to open it to the floor now, if anybody would like to ask Jack any question.
Can I ask quickly, muster around moments? What do you mean?
I mean, so like not have to wait for the end of their like already committed 3-4 year funding program to be able to sort of support someone who's like literally just had a spark go off.
Yeah.
And, you know, and there's lots of like amazing DIY things that go on, you know, and just to be able to elevate those things and amplify those things, and to lever the support, because we are the community that attend things, to lever that support with organisations that are already here and are already well fed. I think that there needs to be also like more of a conversation, or more open dialogue between arts organisations and everyone in this room and the public about why certain things don't happen. You know, like our roof costs £80,000 to maintain a year, and that's before we've paid any staff. You know, our just our we're not planting trees in Kendal because we're planting them further. You know, we're building a wall first because that's where the funding came from. That funding to build that wall unlocks the trees later, but there was no PR budget to tell the community about that kind of thing. And I know that's not the arts, but it's about the way people feel about the space. And yeah. And I just feel like kind of it's strange that I think a community knowing that its arts organisations were struggling and why would support it, rather than just feeling like they've had their noses turned up. You know, I think kind of if you tell me you can't afford this run of workshops at my rate, but you explain why, and then we enter a room and the conversation continues and we work out what I can provide, then I mean that's bound to be healthier than just a bunch of people going elsewhere.
And that's kind of that's what we try and achieve through Cumbria Arts and Culture Network, by at least bringing people together to have conversations and to better understand what the respective challenges are. Does anybody want to pick up on anything that Jack has said or ask a question at all? Here is Tom.
Hello, Jack. I mean, I know Jack. I work at Full of Noises, and I just wanted to say that Jack's quite a generous person and is often like, you know, you're commissioning other artists and you're looking for ways to support other people. So apart from like attending your music, attending your concerts, what can we do to support you better?
Well, if I want to be. So the Arts Council wouldn't fund Air Songs twice, and Catalyst did. The community did. So I want to see whether people are interested in supporting the kind of production company that I've spoken about as patrons, small or large, moving forward in the future. I mean, the Arts Council does wonderful things, but it's not necessarily like really joining dots. It's often kind of like fueling perceived imbalances, I think, in places like this where it's hard to connect physically. And so, yeah, I suppose, write to me. I'm going to be setting up a proper organisation, a proper board, a really responsible thing to do all the things that I mentioned before. And if that's the kind of thing that you're genuinely interested in supporting, either as an artist with your time or as a patron with your money, let me know, because I'm staying here.
Hurrah for that. That in itself is an achievement, that you're staying here, I think.
Who's over here?
Anybody else?
Hi, Jack.
Hi.
Some years ago, an environmental scientist asked me, what would art do for ecology? And I had to think for a moment. And I said, well, it helps people think differently. And if there's one thing your work does, it's help people think differently. Thank you.
That's very kind. I mean, I feel the same about your own work.
Hurrah for that as well.
Whereas, you know, I think also like singing about each other and what each other is doing is really important. I mean, I was saying to David, I was by the coast the other day, and there was a couple of bird watchers who sort of knew your work and talked really passionately about it. And for them, they were talking about it in relation to what was right in front of them, and their communities. And it's true. I mean, I think people are sort of cottoning on more about that. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Who else would like to ask Jack a question? Over there, Matthew.
Hi Jack, my name's Matthew. Work for Edge Hill University on a programme called Arts for Us. And we're looking at how young people can access the arts across the Northwest. And I just wondered what your thoughts are on the barriers that young people face in Cumbria to accessing the arts.
That's a long question, but
Yeah.
go on, give it a stab.
I mean, I think Cumbria Arts and Culture Network are really addressing that with the See It to Be It programme, and should be like absolutely trumpeted for the amount of money you've managed to get for that. I mean, I came back to Cumbria, and the bands and the orchestras that I was part of when I was here like didn't exist at the time, and are slowly sort of pulling themselves back together. And I think I realised then also that I was the age of the people that had kind of given me that encouragement, and something that happened during COVID, I think. Because I taught at university, taught clarinet at university for 10 years, and what I noticed was that the leg ups and the help that professionals felt that they could do because they were secure in their own life and job that had existed prior to COVID disappeared, fell off the map. And it's hard, but I think we as a community of adults that aren't falling off a map, might not feel like we're thriving, have a responsibility to keep the radar out for things that might, opportunities that might sort of open up for other people. You know, work out what it is you really can't do without, and then you might find that you've got space in some of the other stuff too.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so the leg ups, that's really important, and we'll come back to that when we talk about See It to Be It later, because that See It to Be It is all about leg ups. I think that's really important. That we could talk a lot longer about that. I could talk for the rest of the week about, I could provide you with endless data and many, many pictures and diagrams. So let's have a chat more
definitely.
about that, but it's very specifically what See It to Be It is about. Any more questions for Jack? Okay. One more here from Florence, and then we'll move on.
Hi, Jack. So my name is Florence. You talked about the fact that the event you put up was very undersubscribed. Not many people turned up at one of the events. What do you think are the barriers for people attending events in the area?
Well, I think there's a lot of pressure put on this community in this room to support this community in this room, and what is really under exploited, for want of a better word, right now is the community that passes through. And what doesn't exist currently is a really robust way of catching that community and signposting them to all the amazing things that come. I mean, people come for weeks to get wet and tired. Like, you know, if they also knew like that this amazing thing was going on at that place, you know, like a short walk from that coffee that just cost them a fiver, then I think it's that. I think it's the sort of, it's the method of, I mean, social media doesn't work for that. That's not what it's for, I don't think. I mean, I still think a place like this in particular, where it's on personal relationships and word of mouth, and that's been another learning of Catalyst, and that's why also I've decided to change the pace at which I'm doing it, because I'm having to take and find the time to have proper conversations with people, get to know someone not just like me them once, and then sort of ask for the world. You know.
What I'd say, if you don't mind, that I have got out of Catalyst is relationships with 3 incredible people that I hope we'll be able to continue. And Jack, it has been such a pleasure, a really deep experience to get to know you, and I hope that that is a relationship that will continue.
Likewise, thank you.
Thank you very much, Jack McNeill.